Baby.
What's up, everybody? I'm Allie Burns from Picks and Parlays, and it's time for another Power Hour, all things football, college and NFL. I've got three expert handicappers with us today. We're going to start off with Craig Trapp, move into Ross Benjamin, and then Nick Parsons from the Insiders Room. We've got a lot to talk about today, but before we do, I've got to remind everybody about our sponsor, FanDuel. They've got a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. All you got to do is find the description of this video and click on the link. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. The Power Hour is on every Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Let's get this party started with Mr. Craig Trapp himself. Craig Trapp, how's it going, friend?
We're mid-football season and the start of the NBA. Tonight we're filming on Tuesday, so super excited because basketball is my main jam. That's like my favorite, what got me into all this. And then, I actually was better at picking football, but I always liked watching basketball, kind of like hockey. Allie likes college basketball and baseball. I'm all basketball. If I could watch basketball every day of my life, I'd be happy.
I know during the off season, I'll watch women's wheelchair basketball. I don't care. If you got a ball and a hoop, let's play. Let me watch you go. But back to the football. Let's not get too excited and ahead of ourselves here. So we're talking Iowa at Ohio State. The Buckeyes are minus 29. The total on this one's 49. It's a lot of points. Craig, please tell me we're not laying 30 points. What's your play?
Well, before I get to it, though, don't forget, text your full name to 614-810-7522. You get 2 free expert picks weekly. We'll be rotating different experts. We'll pick some of the hottest guys, and it's not just for this week. It's ongoing. So make sure you text your full name to the number. All right. When we look at this Ohio State team, obviously headed into the year, this was top 3 team in college football. It was Ohio State. It was Alabama. It was Georgia. Well, Georgia and Ohio State have definitely held up their end of the bargain. Ohio State's undefeated since that opening game against Notre Dame where they just didn't look so great on offense. They have mowed through this competition. They're 6-0, 3-2-1 against the spread. Iowa, on the other hand, I think a lot of people thought they would at least be in the top 25, in the top 3 or 4 of the Big Ten. Not the case. 3-3 straight up and against the spread headed into this. And Allie, this is a bad Iowa offense. They're never great, but they're usually able to run the ball. Usually one of the best offensive lines in football. And as an underdog, usually they're unbelievable because they play good defense, they don't turn the ball over, and they limit the number of possessions. But when you look at this game, you have to say, can they slow down Ohio State? Because this Ohio State team, pretty much can put up whatever they want. This is, listen to these numbers. 49, 49, 52, 77, 45. Those are the last 5 games output. So minimum 45. So for us to get the cover here, if Ohio State puts up 45, we're going to need to get 17, 18 points. I do think Iowa will get that, though, because I do think Ohio State, they're one of those teams that when you recruit really well, you have great recruits on the bench, and you got to get those guys in. And, so otherwise, these guys will be in the transfer portal after the year. So I do think Ohio State in the second half, they're going to be up big. I think they'll be up 2 to 3 touchdowns at half. And then the second half kind of put it into cruise control. So let's take Iowa plus the 29. I'm not going crazy on this game. I also think it's probably a good teaser type game because I do think they'll get the over. So if you tease it with a 7-point teaser, you tease that 49 down to 42, and you get 36 at Iowa. Now you're off that key number of 35. So I think that's a good teaser candidate as well if you do like teasers this week. So Allie, no, I'm not laying the 29. Points with Ohio State. And I don't like Ohio State. So that's and I have the lucky hole punch, just so you know. Just happen to be sitting here. So we're going to punch a hole in your bookie with this lucky hole punch this week.
All right. Thank goodness, because I almost had to find another place of employment. When we start laying 30 points, the public can do that all by themselves without our free pick videos. Let's steer a different direction. Guys, don't forget, like and subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications. Power Hours on every Monday through Friday with all your football gems, 3 p.m. Eastern, all of those days of the week. And it is about that time to move into some NFL. We've got the Buccaneers minus 10.5 coming off that loss to the Steelers. They're at the Panthers. The total on this one is a 40.5. What do we say here? with this thing already. Here's what we say. Don't forget to text your full name to this number and get 2 free experts weekly, okay? One you'll get midweek, one you'll get towards the end of the week, and these experts are constantly changing depending on who is on our hottest cappers list over at picksandparlays.net. So don't forget about that. All right, Craig, talk to me. Bucks at the Panthers. What are we doing here?
Tom Brady, what a year he's had. I mean, in the last year, he's retired, unretired, looks like he's filing for a divorce, yelling at his offensive lineman, in a loss at Atlanta last week. I mean, this is a guy that has been through the ringer. I mean, the guy has everything in life that you'd want. He's got all the championships. He's probably the greatest quarterback of all time. If not, he's in the top 2 or 3. And, let's just say you don't get it all the time. Things change, and this is a team that's just 2-4 against spread, 3-3 straight up, yet you're having to lay 10.5 points. 10.5 points. And I know Carolina's bad. I mean, they've got, Baker Mayfield out with injury. They're on basically their 3rd string quarterback at this point. So I'm not in love with either one of these sides. In that case, you look at a total in these games.
Total.
And this is last week, a very similar Rams defensive line dominated Carolina in an easy under game. I think this is even a better defense in Tampa Bay. And I think Tampa Bay just wants to get this over with. Get the win. If you need to, run the ball late and just grind out the clock. I think you take the under here. I know it's a low under at 40.5, so that does attract a lot of people saying, oh, well, Tom Brady, he's going to probably go get you, 27. Well, this is a Carolina team. I'm not sure they can get double digits. This is a Tampa Bay that is in the top 5 in my defensive power rankings. They're in the top 5, and most of the year they were in the top 3. So I think this game is, 27-6, 27-3 type of game, easy under 40.5. If you had to lay aside, Allie, double digits on the road in the NFL, that scares me, but I guess I would take Tampa Bay as the choice if I had to take a side.
I'm just not going to pick a side. That's how I'm going to go. I'm just going to let this puppy play out is how I'm going to do this. All right, Craig Trapp, thank you so much for stopping by the Power Hour. People at home, don't forget to like and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications. We're on every Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so back to college football. We've got 2 college games and an NFL game for you to talk with you about. We're going to start off with Mr. Ross Benjamin and Kansas at Baylor. At Troy at South Alabama. Mr. Benjamin, how you doing today?
Good, Ellie. Hopefully we could duplicate what we did last week on the Power Hour by going 3-0, off to a great start in the NFL, as I've alluded to on several occasions. So all good.
Yes, all good indeed. So talk to me. Troy at South Alabama. This is a Thursday night game for everyone who's watching. South Alabama's a -3. The total's 46.5. How you going to do it?
Yeah, this jumped right off the screen at me. Why? Because South Alabama's 5-1 straight up and 4-2 against the spread. They're 3-0 at home. They won those 3 home games by an average of 24 points per game. Their only loss on the season came at number 9 UCLA, 32-31. Barely lost that game. It's a 15.5 point underdog, but here they are, just a 3-point favorite versus a Troy team that's just 4-2. However, keep in mind, this is a Troy team who started the year with a loss at number 7 Ole Miss, 28-10. Nothing to be embarrassed about there. And their only other loss was at Appalachian State, 32-28. And for those college football fans who are avid ones, you'll remember App State threw a Hail Mary pass on the last play of the game to beat them. So an unfortunate loss there. They deserved a better fate. On top of that, when I look at the strength of schedule meter over at Fox Sheets, it shows Troy as a plus 4.1 in strength of schedule. And following that over the last few years, that's very accurate. Anything 3 or more is worth noting when it comes to strength of schedule. And Troy enters on a 4-game win streak. They lost the first 2. I mentioned the 2 losses. The last 4 in the series, Troy has won on each occasion and outscored South Alabama by 20.3 points per game. I'm going to take a shot here, Ellie. probably be in a minority here, but I'm going to take Troy plus the 3 at South Alabama.
When it comes to sports betting, I like to be in the minority because Vegas doesn't like to pay out a whole lot of tickets. So if you're on the other side of that, you already got something good going for you. Okay, so Troy Trojans plus the 3 points on Thursday night. That's how we're going to play this. Don't forget, like and subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, and don't forget to text your full name to 614-810-7522. You're going to get 2 experts weekly. You'll get one midweek, you'll get one at the end of the week, and this is going to keep rolling along with our hottest experts on the site at the time. All right. So Ross, let's move into Kansas at Baylor. Man, these Baylor Bears are breaking my heart, but I've been high on the Kansas team for the past few weeks as well, ever since the Duke game. So we got Baylor -8 at home. Total on this one's 59.5. What do you say?
Well, it's a similar situation to what I just described. Baylor 3-3 and 0-2 straight up in ATS in their last 2. Yet they're better than a touchdown favorite against a Kansas team that's 5-2 and just recently dropped out of the top 25 this week following back-to-back losses to Oklahoma and TCU. Now, those losses weren't bad ones because they only lost by 7 and 10 points. However, what's alarming to me in those 2 losses, they allowed 36.5 points and 576.5 yards per game. And in their 3 road games this year, Kansas is allowing 41.3 points and 549 yards per game. Not very good defense at all, despite that 5-2 record. Baylor, on the other hand, they're more than capable offensively, averaging 37.8 points and 462.2 yards per game on the season. And by the way, Baylor, in their last 10 against Kansas, 10-0 straight up in ATS and winning by 41.3 points per game. I'm going to lay the 8 points with the Baylor Bears over the Kansas Jayhawks.
Yeah, that would be the way I have to play this too. Baylor is an elite team in need of a win at this point. They lost at home to Oklahoma State. They had a bye. We saw them play at West Virginia. It looked rocky, and then it looked like it even out, and then they lost the game. That's just the synopsis of what actually happened there. So laying the 8 at home, I think it's a really good spot for the Bears. I'm with you 100%. People at home, don't forget, text your full name to this number right here. We're going to text you 2 free picks weekly from 2 of our hottest experts at picksandparlays.net. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications. The Power Hour is on every Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so time for some NFL action. It is a Sunday game. The Giants at Jacksonville. Jacksonville's -3. Tell me why the Giants are getting 3 points. They're 5-1. This was my team. I told you all at the beginning of the season, This is my team who I'm just going to be high on this season because I really like the new coach and what he's capable of doing with not Josh Allen. What he did with Josh Allen, he can do to Daniel Jones. And I believe it was you, Ross Benjamin, that stuck that into my head. And I've just been rocking right along with them all season. The total on it's 42.5. Why should I lay 3 points with Jacksonville, Ross?
Well, first of all, let's not mistake Daniel Jones for ever going to be Josh Allen. That's not going to occur.
Granted, but what you said was the Brian Daboll is going to make Daniel Jones the best player that he can be.
The best version of himself. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And 5-1 against the spread is nothing to shake a stick at.
No.
So what are we doing here? What am I missing? Am I just high on life right now? Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, and a lot of people will be high on life on this game, and I think it's a sucker game of the week, honestly.
That's how I feel.
Yeah,
this
I
is
mean,
so easy.
Look, they're begging you to take the underdog, right, Ellie?
Yeah. Yep, 100%.
Yeah. Jacksonville 2-4 on the year, 0-3 in their last 3, but they're a favorite against a New York Giants team that's, like Ellie just alluded to, 5-1 on the year, straight up and ATS, and 3-0 straight up in ATS in their last 3. Yet it's the Jaguars as a favorite over the Red Hot Giants. And I look at my database here, my 4D handicapping software, which is one of the world's best, and only about 10 of us in the country have it. And this is what it told me. This is a very, very rare situation. Anytime you have an NFL home team that's +3, to -3, and they're coming off 3 or more losses in a row. And their last game, they failed to cover as an underdog. And they're facing an opponent like the Giants with a win percentage of 625 or better, and they're coming off 3 or more wins in a row. That's only occurred 7 times since 1986, and on all 7 occasions, the home team covered. That was +3 to -3 with all those conditions in place, and they won those 7 games by an average of 10.7 points per game. So it has happened before where a favorite has lost 3 in a row against an underdog that's won 3 in a row. And with all the conditions I just stated, you could see that this is why I think it's a sucker play. Additionally, the Giants 1-5 straight up in their last 6 as an away underdog. And since 2014, for what it's worth, the New York Giants as an away underdog coming off 3 or more wins in a row, and they were an underdog of 9.5 or less in those games, 0-4 straight up in ATS, losing by 19 points per game. You guessed it, Ellie. I'm going with the Jacksonville Jaguars -3 over the sucker play of the week, which will be the New York Giants.
I'm already seeing 61% of the cash is on the Jags. 65% of the tickets, however, are on the Giants. I know sometimes you just have to hold your nose and make a bet. I'm just not going to make any bets on this game.
If I could just make one more point, Ellie, I mean, the game opened up at 1.5. Yet the majority of tickets have been bet on the Giants, and the majority of money is on Jacksonville.
Right.
It's a textbook case of reverse line movement, which we've discussed several times on our shows.
Yes, indeed. That's like the number one thing that I look for when I bet on games. So Ross's play is the Jags -3. That's how we're going to do it. Find Ross and more of his premium plays over at picksandparlays.net. And if he's on the hottest cappers list, you might just get some for free. Text your full name to this number, 614-810-7522. And midweek and at the end of the week, we're going to text you a free pick from 2 of our hottest cappers on the site. Thanks for stopping by the Power Hour, Ross. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We're on every Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Thank you for having me, Ellie.
All right, guys. Up next from the Insiders Room, I've got Nick Parsons here. We're going to talk a little UAB Western Kentucky. We're going to talk a little Saints and Cardinals. And we're going to talk about it right now.
Bam.
Probably. What's going on? 3, 2, go. What's up, Nick Parsons?
Yeah, not much. Definitely ready to get into this with you.
All right. So this is a Friday game, UAB in Western Kentucky. Hilltoppers are -2.5 and the total's 57.5. How are we going to play this one?
Yeah, the University of Auburn, it's 4-2 straight up. It's 3-3 against the spread. Western Kentucky is 4-3 straight up and 5-2 against the spread. Each appears as if it will be eligible before the end of the season. UAB, it's been trading against the spread wins and losses since week 1. Last week, it beat Charlotte 34-20, unable to cover the huge 21.5 point spread. So the question is, can the Blazers keep this pattern going against a Western Kentucky team that's coming off a 35-17 win over Middle Tennessee State? Just quickly looking at these two teams and what they average. Western Kentucky, it averages 40 points per game. UAB averages 34.5. They haven't played since 2020. UAB won that by a score of 37-14 as a 10.5 point favorite. So there is this small little revenge factor working for the Hilltoppers here. There's lots of good storylines, actually, Ali, in this game. Last week, UAB, it was down 14-10 coming out of halftime, but it used a 15-point fourth quarter to rally for the victory. And in that game, quarterback Dylan Hopkins, he was decent. He had 231 yards and a touchdown, but it was running back Dwayne McBride. He stole the show. He had 137 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, when we look at the other side of the field, Western Kentucky, I do like Western Kentucky in this game, but I will point out that maybe its offensive and defensive numbers are a little bit skewed. In week 2, it beat Florida International, this was in week 3 by a score of 73-0. But yeah, last week they looked good. Austin Reed, he finished with 278 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. So yeah, as you pointed out, for a matchup like this, obviously with a spread like this, the odds makers feel that these teams are really evenly matched. But for me, I think that the home field advantage will be the difference. Last week, the Hilltoppers didn't even play particularly well. They still won. They coughed up 3 turnovers. They were just 6 of 17 on 13 downs, 6 of 17 on third downs. But they did post 443 total yards of their own. And as I pointed out, WKU averages more here. So yeah, I'm going to suggest laying the 2.5 points on the Hilltoppers.
All right, -2.5 with Western Kentucky. That's the play. People at home, don't forget, if you want Nick Parsons premium plays, head over to picksandparlays.net to purchase those. Or you could just text your full name to this phone number. And when Nick Parsons is at the top of the leaderboards, or whoever's at the top of the leaderboards, we're going to text you 2 free expert picks weekly. That's right. 1 in the middle of the week, 1 towards the end, 2 free picks per week from our hottest cappers. And this is an ongoing thing. Also, like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. We're on every Monday through Friday with the Power Hour at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay, let's move into some NFL. We got the New Orleans Saints taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are -1.5. Hopkins is back. Let's all know that. That's happening. He has been reinstated, and the total on this one is a 44. So what do you got going on here?
Yeah, I'm not reading too much. I mean, that's great long term for the Cardinals with Hopkins.
He's on my fantasy team. Okay.
I mean, obviously, it's huge. They've been struggling, Arizona, this year for a number of different reasons. But yeah, the Saints, they're 2-4. They kick off week 7 on the road here in Arizona. As we all know, we've had some pretty terrible Thursday matchups this year. But even in these terrible matchups, there's room to find value in these games for sure. The Saints. Yeah, the Saints, they're coming off a 30-26 loss to the Bengals. Your Joe Burrow there had a big game. He had 3 passing touchdowns. But previous to that, they beat the Seahawks 39-32 in a shootout at home. And really, if you look at the stats, the Saints should have won last week as well. They outgained the Bengals. They didn't turn the ball over. They rushed for 200 yards for a second straight week as well. But the difference is they only scored the 1 touchdown in 5 trips inside the red zone. Now, the Cardinals, as I pointed out, they lost 19-9 in Seattle. They scored only 3 offensive points against the league's worst scoring defense. Kyler Murray, he did rush for 100 yards, but he turned the ball over twice. He was also sacked 6 times. And so that's why I'm not sure about this offensive line. And obviously, with Hopkins back in the lineup, it's going to work out for them much better in the long term. But yeah, I don't think so for this game. I mean, even with New Orleans, it almost beat Cincinnati last week, and that was without Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Chris Olive. So if any of those guys can make a comeback too in this one, that's going to be a big difference maker for them. But either way, yeah, I like the Saints in this one. I think the issues for Arizona are much deeper. So I'll recommend grabbing as many points as you can.
Yeah, we were kind of saying this at the beginning of the season that are just not high on the Cardinals this year. Lots of question marks surrounding that team. I'm with you here. Let's go with the Saints +1.5 on the road in Arizona. That's the way we're going to play it. Don't forget, guys, text your full name to this number, and we're going to send you 2 free picks per week. 1 in the middle of the week, 1 towards the end from our hottest cappers over at picksandparlays.net. And this isn't a one-time gig. This is going to keep on rolling and rolling throughout the seasons. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. The Power Hour is on every Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And if you're looking for premium plays, head over to picksandparlays.net, find the Insiders Room, and use the promo code NFL. Thanks so much, Nick Parsons. We'll see you next time on the Power Hour.
Thanks, Allie.